Today we're going to be talking about the Salomon Predict RA after 100 miles. .08 miles, 8 minutes, 33 seconds per mile in the Salomon Predict RA. With today's mileage, that puts me over the 100 mile mark. I wanted to bring you a follow-up video on how the shoe's been doing. Designed from the ground up to be a road runner and not a Salomon shoe for trails that was converted to the road. And it had the disconnected type of outsole and midsole pattern, so that way it should be more flexible towards your foot, and the different sections and patterns that are on the bottom are designed to mimic and complement the different joints in your foot and the way your foot naturally wants to move. In practice, over the last 100 miles, I couldn't really tell that there was all this new technology or science that had gone into it. There wasn't anything that felt spectacular about it, but that being said, the shoe has treated me remarkably well. And so I never really got all that excited about putting on the shoe. The promo shots that I saw, the photos that I saw of the shoe made it look fantastic. When I got it, I was underwhelmed. You guys in the comments, most of you didn't like it, but I think that it looks pretty good. It's a decent looking shoe, except for it's very stub at the top. But other than that, I think it looks pretty good and is proof that a highly cushioned shoe can look decent. But to understand kind of where I'm coming from on the shoe, I received it shortly after I ran the Indianapolis Marathon. And it was in fact the first shoe that I ran in for the first run after the Indianapolis Marathon. And that's primarily what I've been running in for the past 2.5, 3 weeks since that marathon. So my feet have been pretty beat up because that was the second marathon that I ran in a 4-week period. And so things were pretty beat up. My body was pretty beat up. And the shoe treated me really well. So I feel like I recovered fairly quickly. I've been able to put in already a couple of 40-mile weeks, so that's pretty good, without too much wear and tear on my feet. And I think that it's in large part due to this shoe. And so I was able to run with this shoe on a variety of distances, as long as 15 miles, as short as I think 3 miles on that first day was the shortest run I ever ran in the shoes, and at a variety of paces. So most of the time I was in the 8 minute to 8 minutes 30 seconds per mile kind of range, but I did have a couple of 7-minute miles in it and a couple of 9-minute miles in it. And it's not like it only likes to be in one particular range. And so I think maybe that's some of the technology that's in the shoe that's coming into play there. It did just as well going slower as it did going faster. I think that the sweet spot for me in terms of my effort is more along in my kind of a little bit slower than my marathon pace. So medium effort is where the shoe really shined for me and felt the best. When I was trying to go a little bit faster than that, closer towards my half marathon pace, the shoe started to feel a little bit heavy and clunky, and I didn't really feel like it was giving me enough kind of pop. And so I didn't feel great. I didn't feel fast running in it, but it didn't feel slow either. So it was above average. Going slower, it wasn't as cushioned as I would like for a going slower kind of shoe. So I don't think that it's kind of a recovery shoe only. And so it fits in the middle. I think it's a really great daily trainer, but it's $140. And for $140 for a shoe that's got EVA on the bottom, I don't know that I could recommend it. If you really like Salomon and you want to try the next new thing from Salomon, definitely that's something that you should be going to try on. But I just didn't think it was all that great. The heel cup, that area was something that in the promotional materials, they were really touting as going to be some sort of miraculous, super comfortable part of the shoe. I didn't feel that. I didn't feel like it was super locked down. I didn't feel like it was super loose. I felt like it was in the middle. So everything was kind of average, maybe above average. The part that curves around to your Achilles, that was really nice. But for the most part, I didn't really notice it. And so it was a shoe that was good, above average good, just not that exciting. I was never excited to put on the shoe. The more I wore it, the less I liked the way it looked for some reason. It just wasn't exciting to me, and I don't really have anything bad to say about it. It's a great daily trainer, but it just wasn't all that exciting. And other things that were a little bit disappointing were the amount of wear on the heel. Usually for me, I have a very specific spot where I wear out the heel portion of a shoe. That's the same thing that happened to me on this shoe, even though the heel drop's very different and the shoe was supposed to be more flexible so that different parts of it can kind of adapt to the way my foot hits the ground. So I wasn't expecting a lot of wear to happen in that area. And instead what I got was even more wear than I was expecting. So I don't know if it's something to do with the rubber that they've chosen or the way that this shoe makes my foot hit the ground or the way my foot hits the ground in the shoe, whichever way you want to put it. Probably the second way is more accurate. It was still getting a lot of wear in that one area, to the point where I'm a little bit concerned about how quickly it's worn out. And if I was something that I was going to run with this to try to get to 200 or even 300 miles, I think that I'll be running on the EVA on that portion of my foot in not a very long time. So that would be an area of concern for me. Down by the ball of the foot and the forefoot, that area seems to be doing really well though. That area, the wear seems appropriate. I can see that it's wearing down a little bit, but there's still a ton of tread left. I ran with this in water on some slick conditions and a little bit of icy conditions, some snowy conditions, and the grip was overall above average. And I guess that's kind of like the overall theme for this shoe. It's an above average shoe that I would normally really recommend, except it's not that exciting and it's a little expensive. And in a lot of ways, it reminded me of the Hoka Clifton 1, the 2018 version that I ran in. They're both EVA midsole shoes. They both are a little bit wider than I'm used to. Their heel drops are a little bit different than what I'm used to, and they're a little bit clunkier than what I'm used to. So maybe it's a thing that I'm just not used to it. But I just didn't think it was all that exciting. Both of those are good shoes. I like them. I'm just not excited by them. So that's kind of my take on the Salomon Predict RA after 100 miles. Will I get to 270 miles on it? Probably not. I don't think I'll be running in this all the way to end of life, but it's not something that I'm gonna be throwing away. I'll probably still keep it in the closet, and every once in a while, just to switch it up, getting my feet into some different shoes. Maybe on a week where I've got some higher mileage and I wanna give my foot a break from other shoes that I'm running in, then I think that's definitely something that I'll be reaching for. So hopefully I'll get more miles into it. How many more? I'm not sure, because there are a lot of really interesting shoes coming down. I was worried at first that the winter was going to be pretty boring shoe-wise, but there's a couple of interesting things coming up. So I just don't know how much more running I'll do in the Salomon Predict RA. Not that it's a bad shoe, it's an above average shoe, just not that exciting. But before I go, I want to talk about today's charity runner, Kyle Sammerjit. He's a young high school student who is running cross country and raising money for the Children's Miracle Network and the Arnold Palmer Hospital. The Children's Miracle Network usually has, for a lot of high schools, they have like a dance marathon type of event, but there's a large lead up to it. Hey, we're at my mother-in-law's house. All the kids are up, a little bit off schedule. And so there's usually a large lead up to it. You want to be in the video? And so, but you gotta be nice. No bunny ears. So for a lot of the things like the Children's Miracle Network and the Dance Marathon, there's usually a big lead up, a fundraising effort, and they encourage the kids to take on like a side project to raise additional funds or to help their personal fundraising goals in addition to what they'd be doing at Dance Marathon. And Kyle ran a bunch of miles in the month of September trying to get people to donate for a certain number of dollars or cents per every mile he ran that month. So that's something he's done. I've donated $5 to his cause and his fundraising efforts, and his information will be in the description if you want to check out what he's doing and look and learn more about what the Children's Miracle Network does for kids. So that's all I have for today. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Yo, what's going on?